Will Jotties help Rick win the Walking Dead war? As shown in the preview for episode 8x06, the King, the Widow, and Rick ventures to the junkyard unaccompanied after parting ways with Daryl following their moral disagreement that quickly devolved into a fist fight. Rick wants the same thing as before, a deal. Work with us, Rick says, or be destroyed. Audiences first met Jotties and her society of black-clad trash people in 7x10, New Best Friends, after Father Gabriel was kidnapped from Alexandria and taken to the junkyard. There to reclaim him, Rick saw the scavengers' numbers and proposed Jotties and her people join a then-growing revolution against Negan and the Saviors, an offer succinctly rejected by Jotties, whose philosophy is, we take, we don't bother. Dumped into a pit and forced to combat Spiky Walker Gladiator Winslow, Rick bested his opponent, proving his worth to Jotties. The opportunistic Jotties, whose dealings were made clear to Rick when she told him they're like vultures who pick off what is left behind by others, eventually forges a deal with a more flexible than usual Rick. After the Saviors are defeated, the scavengers will take claim of many guns and half the Saviors' supplies. Rick and Jotties' deal came to fruition in the Season 7 finale, with the scavengers lying in wait within Alexandria's walls to take part in an ambush launched against Negan, a ploy that was sabotaged by the scavengers, who turned the guns given to them by Rick and company against the Alexandrians. Jotties would turn Rick over to Negan herself, coming to claim their agreed-upon amount of 12 people, a deal knocked down to 10 by Negan, who says people are a resource, and offer struck, presumably, to award the scavengers with freaky sex cult slaves. Rick has spent the entirety of Season 8 leading the forces of Alexandria, the Hilltop, and the Kingdom in all-out war against Negan and the Saviors, successfully decimating multiple Savior outposts and laying waste to a good number of Negan's forces. Jotties, meanwhile, is an untrustworthy and cunning opportunist who selfishly claims rewards without any of the effort, no matter who has to die or be betrayed. The scavengers have already shown an aversion to teamwork, and would have contributed to Rick, Carl, and Mikon's deaths were it not for the timely arrival of Maggie and Ezekiel, each leading their respective cavalries to help turn the tide and save the day. Were it not for the recent devastating loss of the Kingdom's much-needed forces, the Alexandria, Hilltop, and Kingdom alliances already outmanned and outgunned, Rick wouldn't need to turn to the scavengers at all, but the alliance already has a handful of concurrent victories under their belt. Attempting any kind of deal with Jotties isn't a good move for Rick, as she's likely aware that Negan views the King, Ezekiel, the Widow, Maggie, and Rick as prizes that Negan would pay handsomely to obtain. Striking a deal with the scavengers doesn't mean he has to trust them, but Rick should have learned his lesson from last time and should be able to see that Jotties views him as nothing more than a cartoonish turkey leg that she can dangle in front of Negan to barter for good.